Yes, prediction.
EnVivo.
Hey.
Are you ready? I was born ready.
Obviously, you're a little, aggravated by the line of questioning regarding Canelo.
I don't want to touch this, dirty, so bad, I don't want to touch his name.
I'm working on feeling the art of humbleness. Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person. And I miss him. But sometimes I feel like a bitch. I don't want that person to come out, because when he comes out, hell is coming with him. And it's not funny at all. It must sound cool, like I'm a tough guy. It's just I hate that I'm scared.
It would be awesome to, be being a great war. Maybe we're the Mexicans.
Let's go! Wait,
I have to put the jokes.
No, hey. Thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. Good timing.
Can't put predictions, man, but I definitely don't want to leave it to the judges.
Get out, wow. Como dice que dijo, estamos en vivo. Sunday recap. LongLiveBoxing EnVivo podcast. Como siempre aquí, Manny Marrero. Can't hear you,
Hopper.
Always breaking it down like it is, like it should be. Mi amigo Sean está muted. Sean, unmute.
You're on mute, Sean.
Sunday recap for those of you that enjoyed last night action fights for ESPN. I'm glad, bro, because honestly, if you think about it, this fight should have been a pay-per-view, and it wasn't. What a brilliant stuff, Top Ranks and ESPN bringing us a lot of action without us have to, pay a lot of money to those.
Work over
right?
some money.
Other promotion companies should learn about that. Oye, Sean, can we hear you now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Ahora sí. Woo! Vivo!
All right. All right. So, definitely it was a good night of boxing. Definitely enjoyable. Yeah, it was a title fight, up-and-coming guy with a crafty, tough veteran. And, had a dominating performance by the young up-and-coming fighter, Shakur Stevenson. Love him, hate him, debate his resume. He came to fight. He was called a boring fighter by some people, but you can't deny his skills. And definitely the way he put a show, you can't be our brother Hopper is pointing at Manny. For some reason, I'm not sure why, but there's a lot of doubt out there. I'll go ahead and say for myself, there's some things that I was kind of saying, like, here we go again. Is this guy being carefully maneuvered? Or is it just, is it truly him being that talented? And the skills are absolutely there. He was phenomenal. He dominated from the opening bell. And, even though one of the judges gave Herring a round, it was a complete shutout to me from, the 9 rounds that it went. And, hats off to Shakur Stevenson and his team. What did you guys think of the fight? Or domination?
I think it was Shakur Stevenson was just too fast, too sharp, too accurate, too everything for Jermail Herring. It was just a complete domination over Semper Fi, beat down. And you know what? I expected him to win, but I was also expecting a little more resistance from Jermail, because he's the champion. He's got a great trainer and a stablemate, Terrence Crawford, with him. But credit to Shakur, though. He's one of the fastest rising stars in the game, only 24 years old. He's definitely top 5 in my under 25 years old list. Not sure just where I'm going to place him, but we'll be talking about that next week, so tune in. Shakur, wow. And I want to get Manny's thoughts on his performance before we move on to the next subject. But, yeah, Shakur Stevenson just dominated. And the only round you could probably even give Jermail Herring was that 5th round where he had some success. But credit to Jermail. He went out. He tried his best. The young gun is just everything he did. It's like he couldn't miss. The jab, the hooks, everything, the footwork. Just he stayed outside. That's where he was pretty much beating up Jermail Herring. But then when the fight moved on the inside, Shakur dominated that too. So it was demoralizing for Jermail. Nothing he did affected Shakur. And just complete domination. Great performance by Shakur.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Totally agree. Manny, what's your thoughts going into the fight? For whatever reason, our brother Hopper was pointing at you. Would you go and say going to the fight that were you a complete fan of Shakur Stevenson? Or you've always believed in Shakur. Has that changed at all, or where do you stand as far as the fight?
I'm still bullish at Shakur Stevenson. I mean, he's an up and coming, rising star. 126, boom. Let's move up to 130. There we go. I mean, and there's just a lot of good stuff coming up, and after this fight is what we want to look into it, right? That possible fight against another huge superstar and Oscar Valdez. That's what people are actually waiting for. But going back into the Jermail Herring and Shakur Stevenson fight, it was exactly just what I thought it was going to be. Youth was going to dominate, the speed, the accuracy in the punches, and being patient. If you noticed, you thought about it a little bit that, hey, is there power in punching with Shakur Stevenson when he fights an elite boxer? But you know what? No, he didn't want to destroy him immediately. He just wanted to little by little just get into him, work his body, work his, his combinations. And he was very firm. Every punch that he threw, it was just manually calculated. I wanted to give some benefit to Herring because I don't want to take anything away, and I don't want people to think about, man, Manny is always criticizing and not giving credit with the credit. I know I give a lot of credit to Romero, and I even talked about in our podcast a few months ago he will get destroyed, and then I changed my prediction because I did see a very strong Jermail Herring, but the youth, the talent in Shakur, it's a game changer. In where was I shocked that the referee stopped the fight? Not at all. I mean, he had no business to be there. And in 2 rounds left, honestly, I don't think Jermail could make a difference at all. I think the referee protected him from getting hurt. I think that that right eye started to open up, and Shakur started to capitalize on that. See, this is where we talked about the smart part of the boxing inside the ring, what we call the boxing IQ. What can I do? I damage him in one corner. There you go. Let me continue to damage. Let me continue to hit. Combination, great. Being patient. That's what I like about him. Moving the ring around and then, being able to completely dominate the fight. Props to Semper Fi. He was a great champion. I'm not taking anything away whether he lacked in his talent in a couple of previous fights, but that's gone. I mean, the guy
early stoppage. Or no?
Yeah, I mean,
what you think? When he stopped the fight, I'll confess, I'll admit, I said, "What?"
I did too.
I figured he would let the champ go out on, finish the fight, go out on his shield. But was I against it? No, because he was getting dominated. But I did feel it was maybe a little rushed,
Robert, let me ask you something.
I was a little on the fence.
Was he going to make a big difference in 2 rounds?
Not at all. No, not at all.
Why would you expect him to throw maybe a good right hand from Jermail Herring to knockout, Shakur?
But it's not like
happened. This was not the case.
The court dominated, but it wasn't like he was physically. Like the punches were damaging punches. I mean, he was landing punches here and there and everything. He was dominating completely the fight. I did raise the eyebrow a little bit. I said, "Oh wow, they're stopping the fight."
6 combinations thrown at him, and Jermail Herring had nothing to do with it. He did take those shots.
I guess I'm thinking from the fighter's perspective, like let me go at him, let me finish the fight.
I get it. I mean, a champion, I'm gonna die in the ring. I get it. I get
champion. I don't want to be. I would if I'm Jermail, I would he handled it like a Marine, with class. But if I was in Jermail's shoes, I would probably been pissed off.
I was at the beginning when I saw that. I was like kind of like, whoa, you stopped this,
bro. Let me go out on my shield.
Yeah, I mean, for me, within the moment, at that time I was upset. But you always have to take a step back. What's actually going on here? He's not really throwing punches.
He's getting
beat
everything
up.
He does.
His eyes
on the outside, on the inside, anywhere. On the rope, anywhere in the ring, he was just getting beat up. So, and then you brought up my boy Oscar Valdez, Manny. Do you think he's at home thinking, I want this Shakur Stevenson guy, the way Shakur looked? I mean, he's gonna have to pretty much accept this challenge. This is a fight that has to be made. The duck sauce chance will get louder if Valdez really doesn't accept this fight against Shakur. I mean, he looked great against Alacran, so against Constanciao. I think that's the next big fight that needs to happen for boxing is Oscar Valdez against Shakur. I mean, it has to happen. They're both within. There's no excuses. None of this promotional bullshit that they always like to throw around. It'll be a huge fight. Oscar Valdez has a huge following. He's Mexicano, of course, so the Mexicans are going to be turning out to watch. And Shakur, It's gonna be a great fight. Hopefully, it happens.
Yeah, and I agree with Clarence McLean right there. Herring is a true warrior. He has demonstrated ever since he actually became a champion, defended his title, winning through a few hiccups throughout a couple of last fights. Last fight, against Okendo. Then he came back and pretty much dominated in the last fight, and made this fight happen. And listen, guys, these guys are friends, and it's very difficult when you have a career.
Are they? Shakur kept saying they were.
Well, they are. I mean, they have a lot of respect.
They are. I know. After the fight, they said, "I love Jermail."
You have a young, talented gun. If I was Jermail Herring, up in age a little bit, great champion. But I'm fighting against a very young, talented beast that's just coming up, and you know what I mean. It's one of those things. And to your point about the Oscar Valdez, for Valdez, this is the fight that's going to probably renew the confidence for the fans of that incident that happened before, where there was, intentionally taking that, what he took in the last fight, he got caught, and whether all that stuff is kind of started bringing a black cloud into his career. He needs to take this fight. This is what the fans want. This is what
I don't think taking this fight is going to do anything to change that perception of what
happened.
It's
not going to change it, but
it's going to stick with him for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
and even if he beats Shakur, it's probably going to bring the questions back to. So I think that's just going to be hovering over him. But you are right, though. I think the best thing he can do is accept this fight, though. Gringo, what do you think?
I think this is a fight that has to happen. I mean, they're both under the Top Rank banner. It just makes sense. I thought it was lining up that way with the WBO mandatory. So I think there's a lot of things that are in place where it almost seemed like they'd have to go out of their way for it to not to happen, which would be a duck on both sides.
Somebody has to say no.
Yeah. So
and Shakur wants it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think because he figures, he's going to get a pretty good payday against Oscar Valdez.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, we don't talk about what other man's pockets are making.
That's true.
Jermail Herring made his biggest payday. He made $1.5 million from this fight. Shakur Stevenson made 1.7, his biggest payday from this fight. And honestly, I think Oscar Valdez fight would get a lot more.
Because of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anyone else. I don't think there's anyone else that could get those guys into that level, even unifying. I guess Roger Gutierrez. That's not a fight that people want to see against Shakur. Neither Michael Magnesi. I mean, honestly, let's go ahead and get the best guys, added to each other, and that will be Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson. We all know that, Shakur's got bigger, huge dreams, moving forward. And I know 135 is not too far away for this young talent to start. So, hey, listen, let's get that fight made. Let's get the 130s, that super featherweight. Let's get it going, man. I think we can definitely build up a huge pay-per-view behind this, and Top Rank, like you said, it's not going to be hard to make this fight. Same stable, same promotion company. So let's get that ESPN Plus, and I doubt it'll be a pay-per-view because
I don't think they'll put it on pay-per-view.
But you know what?
Top Rank doesn't. They didn't put Lomachenko or Teofimo on pay-per-view. They're not going to put Valdez in.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, this could be a potential huge pay-per-view. ESPN fight. And guess what? All this young, talented ESPN prospects. We'll talk about it soon. They could be added up into that specific card and make it something.
Xander again, Co-Main. Woo! We'll touch on Xander in a little bit.
Just real quick before we get into Xander and his performance, and good stuff, guys. It was an amazing performance. One thing also I want to comment too, as far as Jermail Herring, interesting that he actually was stopped before. The 3 fights where he's lost, because he had 2 fights going to this, he have all been to southpaws. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I know what did have to do with it.
Tricky southpaws.
He's definitely the truth, and shout out to him. So real quick, you have some people chiming in here. Clarence McLean, the live king. This guy goes live all the time.
He's live right now.
Yeah, he's live right now. He's doing a live, watching our live. Much love for him. Shakur is very special. Totally agree. Shout out to Lion Killer Podcast. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Run PMC in the house. He's on the El Chile podcast. I'll actually be joining them Tuesday.
Gringo loves.
I love that podcast, man.
Love Chile.
On the Chicano Prophet. Subscribe to him on YouTube. They'll be doing that 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Pacific time. So much love to them. And so let's go ahead and get to it, guys. We're big fans. Well, Hopper wasn't always a fan, but he is now. Xander Zayas.
Always a fan, man.
Okay, yeah. We had to clarify that. So
my favorite Puerto Rican boxer.
We'll go ahead and start off with you because we know that Manny has a lot to say on this. Where first of all, were you impressed, or you're like, did you see anything different
with Xander?
Yeah,
man, it was no. Of course I was impressed. And here's the thing, though. All right, he's our boy. We've had him on the show twice already, and he's open to come back again, which is what we love about him. Watching his fight, I watched with a different perspective in mind. I took my fan goggles off, and I said, okay, I'm going to try to find a weakness in this guy's game. I'm going to try to find weaknesses in his boxing abilities. And damn, I couldn't find anything last night. I rewatched it again this morning. I still couldn't find anything. I guess the only thing, and this is nitpicking, is maybe when he throws his right cross, he holds it at his chest when he brings it back for like a split second instead of bringing it back up. So that's nitpicking at worst. So no, Xander looked great. He dominated every round. I think by the second round, Karpensi was pretty much already in survival mode. The only thing about Xander that needs to be answered is how does he react to adversity? The same thing that Edgar Berlanga went through when he got dropped and he got up and he handled it the way he did. I think Xander, those are the only questions that need to be answered with Xander is how do you react when you get stung? How do you react if you ever get dropped? Other than that, though, everything else is pretty much check. You know, he looks great. His jab, his combinations, his counter, his body work is lethal. His footwork. I mean, everything is just impressive with Xander. And Manny, Puerto Rico has a real one right there. So that's got to be exciting, man. I know it makes you sleep well at night.
It does. It really does. And it really makes me think back in the days when, you know, I was getting bullied. You know, where are the Puerto Ricans?
Bullied now. I try to bully you every day.
Every day.
That's every show,
man. I totally agree with you. You know, and I tell you what, he is going to be one of those kids that it's going to overcome those you know, those concerns that you have. And I think he did it in the last fight. 105 degrees in Arizona afternoon. You know, gassing out. Did you see how he was very cautious with the punches? He had him hurt a couple of times, guys. Because Karpensi was a guy that's never been knocked out, stopped at all, right? So, and this is what people are thinking. Who the heck is this guy, right? But they're matching him perfectly. They're bringing in some other good, talented individuals that are going to give them some really good rounds. I'm not expecting to, and that's why I don't want to compare him with Berlanga. I'm not expecting him, and he's not actually expecting. I can see it that he's not coming in just to knock people out at first round. He's very cautious. He's studying them well. He throws those combinations and sticks to his plan in terms of like, let's get down to the body. Almost 36 body punches, right? And he just kept on going and throwing different, you know, body punches, right-handed, left-handed. I mean, you know, he completely annihilated and destroyed you know, Karpensi's body to the point that there's no mas. And I think it was just a matter of time, but I think the ref did the right thing in stopping the fight. I think it was a very, very good workout for Xander Zayas. I love the fact that he enjoyed the spotlight, very humble, charismatic as always, you know, taking pictures with the fans and being involved with those who have supported him. And he's still not known yet. But I tell you what, I can't wait. December 11, Madison Square Garden. This is where that Xander Zayas is going to continue to grow. A lot of people know about him right now, but he's going to continue to start growing. And December 11, it's going to be a great matchup at Madison Square Garden. He's always wanted to fight there. That's Puerto Rico land. That's our backyard. And I tell you what, he was very clear when he was and well-spoken when he was interviewed. And he said, you know what? I want people to remember me, that I'm an up-and-coming prospect and that I could be, right? You know, that what boxing needs, and I could be that superstar in boxing. And he is. Humble as he is. Yes.
No, definitely. It was a phenomenal performance. The thing that stood out to me, and I actually sent a message out to Coach Centeno, and he messaged us back. So I said, Coach, awesome performance. Love how you had Xander working the body, changing the levels, working his feints, which, you know, he started with some great feints in the beginning. Great job. Coach Centeno wrote back, thanks, brother. We made some adjustments off the last fight, which they definitely did. Yep. And we kind of talk about that real quick. I felt is it fair to say that, we talk about the Puerto Rican wave of talent, which is definitely still a lot of talent, but as they're moving up and having more challenging fights, people are going to question on the results or how they got to the results. And I felt because it was a tough fight for Xander. They were out in Arizona off that Oscar Valdez card, and it was out in the heat. And some people were saying, "Oh, it's excuses. He got hit too much. He wasn't going back far."
He did get hit a lot.
Yeah, he got hit a lot. He did, and
it was his left hand though. His left hand.
Yeah, and also he burned himself out a little bit because I think in the 4th, 5th round when he thought he had him, he just like gassed out a little bit. Something that he didn't do right now. He had Karpinski, he had him a little bit hurt, but he backed up and let me start again with the new rhythm with a jab and like get the combinations. He didn't really go out there and try to really knock him out because I just had him hurt. So that's being very smart. That's being not taking all of your punches and gassing out, because it could lead Hopper to what you're talking about. Maybe one of these guys will come in, throw a punch, and then he may get in big trouble. But I think right now, the way they're guiding them, the way they're
we're about 5-6 fights away from finding out.
Yeah. I mean, and right now, think about this, guys. He was at 147. He's at 154 right now. Not in his main body yet, and he feels really, really strong. And he doesn't have to, even though he never had issues making the weight at 147. But right now, that's something you can't even think about. He's going to be so good. And, that's the division that he'd always talked about, that he's going to really shine, and possibly maybe a couple more years will be a new world champion. We'll see.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to watch the journey. Speaking of watch the journey, shout out to our brother again, Clarence McLean, December 11th, Madison Square Garden. He'll be there, and of course he'll be there, and he'll be doing a live while he's there, because that man is a hard-working man in the boxing game. Shout out again, Miguel Cotto is my favorite. Clarence McLean wrote. That's interesting because on a live, another live that I watched, and I'll go ahead and say it. It was Women's Crushing It Wednesday, and Xander Zayas came up. All right, so Manny, just before you get fired up, one thing that they brought up, and I would like your opinion on this, and I thought it was interesting. They were saying, do you think that he's the next Puerto Rican great? And they mentioned not just Cotto, they mentioned Trinidad. Is that dangerous territory to even worry about that right now?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason why is Puerto Rico hasn't had a people's champion. And last night I was watching the fight with my uncle. Saludo, David. I was watching the fight with him, and I've kind of been introducing some of these up and coming talented boxers. The last couple fights would just kind of hang around together, and I was telling him, listen, this guy's going to be a people's champion. And that's the difference. You got Miguel Cotto, which he's the champion, but he's not likable. He doesn't really interact with his fans or the media. Xander Zayas is, and that's a difference maker. When you have someone involved within the fans, I mean, if you look at some of the videos, he was grabbing the fans' phones and taking a selfie with them, interacting with the fans, and he's charisma. He's always good in shape.
He's a kid too, man,
and he's just a kid right now that he knows he's very talented, but he's not over his head. And when you hear him speaking, the way he said, "I could be the future of boxing," any other kid would have come and said, "Hey, I am the future." He'd be cocky, but nothing of that. He could be cocky, and people won't think that he is cocky. It's just the way he projects himself, and great manners, well-spoken. He will be the people's champion, something Puerto Rico hasn't had since Tito Trinidad. It's a difference. It's a big difference.
No, yeah, and I just wanted to mention that because, I thought it was an interesting conversation for them to bring up, and I love this show, by the way. It's every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and they do a great job. I just thought it was interesting because I think that's it's all about expectations to me as far as fighters and just in general. If you're going to have a bar that high of, Tito Trinidad, no one's going to be another Tito, point blank. Let's let Xander be Xander, and then,
exactly. I hate
worried about, what he could or could not do.
Yeah, and that's what you took the words right out of my mouth, Gringo. I hate these comparisons from these young kids, 18, 19. You're already comparing them to Hall of Fame guys. I mean, let these guys build their careers a little more. Let them form into their own selves, And then they do this all the time in every sport, in football and basketball. Is he the next Michael? Is he the next Kobe? Man, shut up. He's the next whoever he is. Man.
He's the next Xander.
Let the guy Xander. He's the next Xander. That's who he is. He's not nobody else.
And you know what? The fact that I still, and it's maybe my fault. I'm just diving in, going to a rabbit hole, but I'm already getting upset. with people starting to differentiate the fact that, oh, you're not Puerto Rican because you don't train there. Yeah, your mom and dad's Puerto Rican, but you don't train there. You don't live there. You live in Florida. You know, and it's so sad, man, because that's the problem. It's the hate the fact that who's better, a natural born Puerto Rican, live in Puerto Rico, training Puerto Rican, someone that goes out there. Listen, he went out there to get a much better future. He got out of Puerto Rico because Puerto Ricans, they pushed him away. They freaking pushed him away with this bullying crap at school. And guess what? I appreciate those who bullied this kid, because guess what? This kid is going to prove a lot of people wrong. And those who actually bullying him, those who actually day by day, and you don't know, if you don't know what's to be bullied, man, that is the worst shit you can ever experience. I mean, to the point that we got people, you know, killing themselves because of this stuff, right? And so he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. And with his story, he's gonna
great PSA. He can make a great PSA announcement right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I'll be right there because I am his #1 fan. I should have worn my Xander shirt. I didn't.
No, Mexican beat me now.
All right, I am Xander. I am the #1 fan. I believe that.
We love you, baby.
Club.
All right, perfect. So another comment here from our brother Clarence McLean. The young man has a bright future. Absolutely. So speaking of, and we love Xander and Kent.
Hey, did you see Bradley bragging about him?
Oh my goodness!
Speaking of, he did make a comment though. He was talking about that. He felt that the yelling or the yah or whatever, the yell that Xander was doing after his punches, he felt that was kind of amateurish or whatever.
I mean, the pros, they do it all the time. What's he talking about? They do a shoot every time they hit a punch. Shoot.
Primero, Hazel Ward, papi, un abrazo. Thanks for the support, bro.
Azaroso, el más poderoso.
Appreciate it. All right.
What did that say, Gringo? What did that say?
Oh, it said fire emoji, arm emoji. You guys missed that? It was awesome.
Oh, all right. So thank you for clearing.
Yeah, appreciate it. So let's talk about someone that's not scared to admit who they are, what they are, and has a lot of confidence and swagger. Maybe too much. The press conference. Did you guys see it? Any thoughts on that?
Tank? Are you talking about Rollie, Romero, and Tank Davis?
Any thoughts on the press conference, or are you guys excited about that 5 December?
I watched the press conference. I was entertained by it. I was surprised Floyd actually let Tank talk, which is I wanted to ask you guys about that. Floyd was early in Tank's career. It seemed like Floyd was doing all the talking. I think they finally trust Tank enough now because he wasn't that savvy with the mic, and even then, he was still the way he talks. It's just it's different. But I did love his zinger he threw out to Rollie. He said, "Motherfucker's wearing a fur coat. It's 80 degrees outside." I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was pretty hilarious. And Rollie's just looking up at him, and Rollie plays his role. But I think the build-up to the fight is going to be entertaining because Rollie, we know he loves to chirp. The fight itself, I don't think it's probably going to be too much. I'm not so high on Rollie Romero. I think he was fortunate to get this far with his talent. He's fortunate to be undefeated. I thought he lost against Jackson Marinez. That was a clear loss. The Mayweather, I think Mayweather's cashing him out. This is what they built them up for. I'm gonna be watching just because I think the press conference and the promotions are gonna be more entertaining than the actual fight.
Speaking of entertaining, shout out to our brother Clarence McLean with a comment.
Rollie had a whole line on.
Rollie had a whole line on an 8-degree weather. He did, right?
That was hilarious.
Yeah, he did. He it was like New Jack City out there. So yeah, that's the thing with me with Rollie. I mean, he's a villain. I do wish he was more talented though. Like we talked about that before. 135 needs a shake up. And I don't even believe they're fighting at 135, but
they are.
They are.
Yeah, they're for the WBA. It's a regular belt from Tank.
He has to fight him because remember, Rollie was the interim WBA champ, and then they took those away.
And that's one of the things that I'm excited to be honest, because I did like Tank moving up and fight Barrios at the 140. We all know that Tank's still part of that Divas group at the 135, and we still need to see some of these fights. Haven't happened yet. We still need to see them at 135. It's good. I like that.
Is Tank a diva though? I don't really know. I think the divas are Ryan, Devin, Teofimo.
That's a good point.
I like to rip. With Tank. I make fun of him at times or whatever, but Diva, I think the Diva is more Ryan, Devin, and Rollie for sure. Remember,
Well,
I actually remember when I spoke with Rollie at the Spence and Porter fight in LA, and he was kind of diva-ish then. I don't want to talk about Ryan.
Well, I mean, I talked about it in the last, I think his last review. He's been the only one that we can separate him from the pack that's been making some fights. Okay, he went up, fought Mario Barrios at 140. That's a huge risk. He came out victorious, and then now he's got a big major fight, one of the most trash talkings, in social media, which is going to bring attention, right?
Yeah.
But what I wanted to see is getting him back into the 135 pounds, because I think there's a lot of business to handle there. Right, I think Devin Haney now needs to eventually possibly fight, Teofimo.
He's fighting Jojo,
and he's fighting now Jojo Diaz, which is a huge step up.
Right.
Which is a huge step up for a huge, test for Devin Haney to finally possibly see if we're going to unify all these belts against Teofimo Lopez if he actually beats Cambosa. So I like this. And then you have Javante Davis, who's going to go ahead and fight Rollie, and then the winner, he's still the regular, I hate this crap, regular super champions and all that, but hey, he's the regular WBA champion, and Rollie is the number one mandatory. Get him out there, and let's get the fights. We're complaining a lot that fights are not being happened, but when the fights happen, we also complain that they're not the right ones. I don't think so. These are really good fights that we're seeing right now.
You know who loves him some Tank Davis?
Who?
Canelo.
Really?
He sent him. He fought.
He's wearing his gloves, right?
In Canelo's gloves against Mario Barrios. Canelo loves him some Tank Davis. So that's game recognizing game right there.
We know the talent. I think we've complained the commitment of Tank. Have you guys seen that commitment for the last two fights in Tank Davis? Have you guys seen it?
No, yeah, he's not beefy Tank
Barrios.
anymore like he was.
Now, that's three great fights, guys, to be honest. There's nothing to be complained of. Bring Rollie, bring the fight. Can't wait to that day. And we'll predict it in our next show. I'm not ready to make a prediction.
Man, I'll get the prediction right now. Tank's gonna knock him out. There.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, there's no,
I don't need to wait.
We don't need a video.
You don't need to wait? I'm there too. What round?
There's no reason
round?
to do a video for that. That's
6th, 7th. It's gonna be
whenever he wants, really.
It's not a podcast.
I mean, I would
podcast worthy.
I would no.
Right. It'll be a short 3-minute podcast. Intro, prediction, done.
Intro, knockout.
Okay, guys, great episode. Woo.
Man, that was an amazing episode right there. No, but seriously, as far as how this fight goes and how it plays out, another thing that's kind of interesting to me is like a lot of people go towards as far as Tank. I don't want to say he gets the pass because I think he's had the more, even though he's moving around, he's kind of going about it different as far as moving up and moving down, more moving up as far as the fights he's doing. We'll see as far as how it goes down as far as this next fight. But we'll see. Hey. Washing machine live and discuss the fight. Awesome. Appreciate the comment. And hey, definitely, definitely. So let's keep it going. So there's another fight that's coming up this weekend, next weekend, per se, as far as Jose Zapata versus Josue Vargas. Just kind of quick predictions on that. Hopper, what's your thoughts on that fight?
Well, all right, Jose Chon Zapata, Josue Vargas. Jose Zapata, 5'8", almost 71-inch reach, southpaw. He's probably the more experienced of the two by far. His only two losses have come against Jose Ramirez by a razor-thin majority decision and Turbo Flanagan. But in the Turbo Flanagan fight, he separated his shoulder in the second round. He's beaten guys like Hank Lundy, his Fight of the Year candidate against Ivan Baranchik. And plus, he already has one Puerto Rican scalp on his resume, Sniper Pedraza. So I'm gonna be rolling with Chon Zapata because, to be honest with you, just like with Rollie, damn, all negative today, huh? I've never been too impressed with Josue Vargas, aka the Prodigy. He calls himself the Prodigy. He's taking a massive step up compared to his usual run-of-the-mill opponents that he usually fights. So with that, I'm gonna pick Chon Zapata by late stoppage.
Oh wow! Okay, good stuff right there. I got some comments right here. Tail Media, what's that first time listening here? Boxing. I appreciate you listening in. Thank you,
Santel.
Gracias.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you so much. And James,
Montano Cordoba.
Only super champion can be who have all the belts in one division. What you guys think? Yeah, that's true. It's just that I think what we're referring to is the WBA and other stupid belts. They need to get rid of them all. And then the super champion for sure, if you have, or the unified champion, I guess is what you can call it.
Yeah.
So,
But you know, going into Josue Vargas, I think I do agree with you, Hopper, in a sense of like, you know, there's a huge hype, especially within the Puerto Rican, you know, future stars currently right now. He's very highly, you know,
regarded.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like they're expecting a lot from him. I think the last fight when he fought last time when I was there, Willie Shaw, that was a very, very good fight in Kissimmee. People were actually waiting a little bit more from Josue Vargas. They were like, you know, he did convincingly won Willie Shaw, but still people wanted to see a little bit more. He hasn't fought since that's going to be almost you know, a few months since April.
Was that April, right?
April 24th. Yeah. That's when we were there in Kissimmee, the great Puerto Rican night card. And you know, I'm hoping that he have learned from that. I've seen a lot of live videos from him training and working on his craft. He understands there's a lot of growing pains right now that he needs to go through. This is a huge test. Jose Zepeda, I mean, he's very strong, very you know, he's
battle tested.
He's experienced. This is the test that you need to continue to solidify yourselves in this division, and a division that is I mean, consolidated with Josh Taylor. But on top of that, there's a lot of prospects and contenders right now at the 140-pound level. So he needs to continue to work. What am I expecting right now from Josue Vargas? And I hate to say this, but I'm expecting a knockout. I'm expecting a completely blank out against a very tough opponent in Jose Zepeda. And if that's the case, if he doesn't get to knock him out, I want to see his boxing skills not only within the first few rounds, but also along the stretch. And that's where he lacks a little bit on that. So great test. I'm excited. Josue Vargas all the day. I'm sorry about that. You know, Hopper, you feel, you know, that he's going to get knocked out by Zepeda? I don't think so.
Really?
I think that Josue Vargas will be able to win this fight and continue his path.
Vargas knocking out Chon Zepeda? Something Ramirez couldn't do?
He won't knock him out, but he will definitely.
Something Baranchik couldn't do. Dropped him I don't know how many times.
Well,
all right,
it's
real
okay,
quick.
man.
All right, so I do think. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll definitely have to. We might have to go live on that one. Well, I mean,
we will. We will. Pre-Halloween night.
For me, yeah, it is Halloween weekend. So they're both southpaws, right? They're both southpaws. They both like to counter, but to me, Jose Zapata has the more power, you know. So, I mean, by a lot to me.
By a lot.
And then also too, I think
he has fought better opposition. You can't deny that. He has fought, you know, Pedraza. He has fought, you know, Jose Carlos Ramirez. He has fought great guys at that specific division. Even Abner Lopez, that time he knocked him out also as well. I mean, he's fought great people in there. This is what's all about, is getting your contender getting your contender with a much tougher opposition to see what it's got. And I am expecting to see that from them, because I want people to not think about too much of the fact when you hype up a boxer too much and you feel like it doesn't have it because the opposition hasn't been that strong. Now it's a chance. Willie Shaw, that was good. That was a really good fight. But I am expecting a lot better now. There's no excuses. You got a much better, tougher fighter if you want to really solidify yourself in this division.
All right. So, I mean, hey, love the passion. And that's why I definitely wanted to bring it up. Again, they're both southpaws. I could see kind of being a chess match first 2 rounds, then going into it. As far as the better boxer, I would lean slightly toward Josue Vargas. Zapata's had the better challenge. I would say as far as how they both looked the last outing, the Hake Lundy fight for Zapata, he looked okay. He looked susceptible. He looked the Baranchik looked like that fight took a lot out of him as well, as we expect to.
Yeah.
So that was a brutal fight. You know, that was an unbelievable fight. So if he's still going to be,
he went with Brendo Castañeda, and that was a really good one too as well. That actually showcased his skills. That he has that potential.
That was October was when he fought Baranchik of last year. Then in May, so I mean he's had some time to recover.
Yeah. So what I'm expecting is I'm kind of expecting the Zapata we saw against against Castaneda when he had that,
Kendo Tremendo.
Yeah, Kendo Tremendo with that real zippy.
They both beat Kendo, actually.
They both beat Kendo.
Yeah.
They both did.
I was more well. If we want to go common opponent, then I was more impressed with Zapata for sure. Then, as far as like how he looked,
I was in the bubble. He just pretty much undressed him. But I think Kendo took that fight on short notice, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he did. He did.
But even then, though, I mean, it's still. I think he had like a week's training or something. I don't know. Yeah, but even then, though, you gotta accept all your.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing about that level of boxing from these guys. That
you gotta be ready.
What you do is you're gonna make money. You're gonna fight against some of these top contenders that are moving up, and which is great. And this is a chance for Zepeda to really, stop that momentum and what people talking about too much about Josue Vargas. Yes, there's too much hype about it. We just need to see more action on his behalf. And I'm hoping he's prepared. I really am.
No, definitely. So what I'll say is, and this, take it how you will. As of right now, I'm more comfortable based off the resume and what I've seen in the body of work and how they looked recently. I know you were saying about the Shaw fight with Josue Vargas. I wasn't as impressed.
Me either.
I'm leaving Zapata, and I'm going to go ahead and say that he's going to win by late stoppage. I think it's going to be accumulation of punches. Yeah, sorry, man. I see Josue Vargas. He has too many holes. He has too many holes in his game, and if he's not 100% laser, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. Right? I mean, I
don't hope you're wrong.
Well, I got to tell you something. Listen to me. You are wrong.
Oh, all right. Let's go on a positive thing before we go to news and notes. Good stuff there, brothers. Gosh, send a shout out to Miss Denise. Much love. All right. So let's talk about news. Oh, wait, almost forgot. Somebody else is going to be on the card, Manny. Carlos Purin Caraballo. This is another little guy from Miguel Cotto's stable. He's a Pan American gold medalist a few years ago, and he's got a great potential. They're going to match him up. They're going to guide him the right way. And man, I'm excited for this kid. There's been a lot of hype for the last 2 years with Purin Caraballo, and we're expecting big things. There's not a whole lot of comment right now. I mean, when you think about his opponent and just getting him up and going, I just want to see his skills and what he's able to accomplish and gained, the fan base to get him hyped up for a possible future star. Nothing there. He's just working on his craft. So I'm excited about this one. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So the wave continues, the Puerto Rican talent, and the wave of the show is coming to an end. So let's go ahead and hit news and notes. Starting off with my brother Hopper, my brother from another mother. What's your thoughts? Anything you want to say before we close the show out?
Yes, actually. I want to bring up a final thought. This is all right. I know everybody loves to rip on Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley and their commentary, right? And I felt last night they were getting ripped unjustly. Yes, at times Timothy Bradley kind of goes off the rails a little bit, but for the most part, I had zero complaints with their zero problems with their commentary last night. I felt they both brought their boxing expertise, and the way I judge caller commentary is: are you teaching me something? Are you showing me something that I'm not seeing? You know how in the NFL, my boy, the great, the GOAT, Tony Romo, he breaks down footage. Greg Olson does a good job in the NBA. My girl Doris Burke, she does a fantastic job breaking down the NBA. And I feel Andre and Timothy were on point last night, pointing out all the minor nuances in the game that only former boxers can see. Yes, at times they're biased. Of course, your company men. But it's nothing like the PBC and their bias. I mean, they are just completely biased over there. Nobody else exists but anybody in their stable. No, Andre Ward, Timothy Bradley, the guys did a pretty good job yesterday. I appreciated the commentary, the work that you guys do, and I felt they were getting ripped unjustly on social media. Again.
I mean, they did really got ripped, and I think it's because the inconsistency of not in this fight, but some other fights, and I think that the fan base have kind of been separated right now when they're listening to some of these things, and some of the things they're listening is just. I hate the fact that always. Bradley is just killing some of these boxers that are coming in, and then all of a sudden they grow, and then now I'm a big fan of them. You know what I mean? I think people are already identifying that, and they're not liking it, and I'm sorry, they're not. And then you probably see the Zone, you probably see other networks, the way they call these fights, and they're more entertaining than what they do. But I love the fact that you have the boxer perspective. You're a former boxer. former champion, and you're giving your input. It's like Tony Romo calling the plays on football. Isn't it great? Someone can anticipate these kind of stuff, but I think right now they need to step up the game a little bit more and add some of that, some of that experience they had back in the ring, putting it together and bringing it into a positive rather than just doing it as, well, I'm a fan, I'm not a fan. I'll bash them, I'm not bashing them, and that's what fans are not liking right now.
No, I can definitely respect that. I mean, to me, the commentary is so low on my list when I'm watching the fight. It doesn't make
don't care.
I do respect the fact that people have an issue with it. If it's being biased, like to the point of what Hopper brought up, as far as it may be impacting people's how they view the fight. But I mean, I just enjoyed the fight. It's really not about the commentary. Can't make or break it. But I do appreciate when I'm learning something, if they add value from that perspective as far as their experience. But if they're not, then I just tune it out. All right, so Manny, what's your news and notes thoughts kind of closing out? Anything you want to say? Any shout outs or anything?
No, I just want to thank everyone who continued to support us, man. I mean, after 100 episode, things are just going in a different direction, and we're pretty excited about podcast 103. Hopper waiting for confirmation, but we got a very special guest, and I'm not gonna keep it quiet. I'm not gonna spill the beans right now, but we got a very special guest, and into our next
Are they a
podcast,
champion?
He's a champion. Let me tell you something. He's a 60-second champion. The guy that a lot of people think. The guy that a lot of people think that he was competing in the Tour de France. We
might be sick that day,
man. I mean, we're excited, Gringo. Thank you for the passion, for everything you do for us, for pushing us and getting to the next level. And we're excited about what's going to happen. Sadly enough, the 29th of October, probably Houston Showdown, it is canceled. But the good thing is everything's coming in for the 5th of November. Guys, 5th of November. If you're here local in Texas, maybe surrounding areas, it's going to be a great fight at the Southern Junction Center. That is Hometown Massacre. They're adding all these, competitors from the Big Bell Championship. It's going to be a night to remember. I mean, I think they're going to probably have to start 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get some of these boxes. We've got a lot of excitement that weekend. I can't wait. We're going to be part of that. We'll be ringside, covering it up, and then, of course, breaking it down like it is. Like it should be.
All right, absolutely great stuff, brother. So yeah, we have episode 102, 103 dropping Friday, October 27th. One is possibly going to be a Spanish language interview with a Puerto Rican champion that Hopper thinks runs. We'll find out. And we asked him personally.
He bikes a lot too.
And shout out to the people that tuned in and to the chat. We much love for Clarence
Peloton.
Lion Color Podcast.
That's his training. He trains on the Peloton. Let's get it, Peloton.
Washing machine.
Hey, listen to me. Listen, that's James, one of them. But be aware, and I'm gonna go so confident on this one because we talked about him for so many years, and he's going to come back, and he looks sharp. He looks amazing. Mac Williams Arroyo against
El Rey?
Cesar El Rey. Watch out, because that's another one.
We've been talking about that fight for like 2 years, right? Since like episode 1.
Finally. But finally, Julio Cesar's the one.
I gave up on that fight.
Ray can stay healthy.
I lost an eyelash. I'm not gonna fight.
It's all right. I mean, it's not like he has much to worry about.
I can't fight. My tooth hurt. I can't fight.
All right, so let's go ahead.
It's all right. It's not like he has much to worry about. He's fighting McWilliams Arroyo. I mean,
so we don't have to actually
easy money.
We're all poor.
WBC.
We don't have any. We're not going to actually bet anything because we're all poor here. But is there any wagers on the Vargas?
I don't have any money, bro. I'm broke. This is fake.
But just bragging rights.
No, I'm still keeping mine. I'm still keeping Josue Vargas. That's going to be a split decision.
I bet you a beer. How's that?
La Croix.
Loser goes bald. How's that? Loser goes bald.
Damn, I'm already a loser. So all right.
No,
all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out. Much love. EnVivo. We are.
Go Cowboys!